This is Head Bust Unboxing, and we are back in the house. And in this video, we're gonna talk about the IBF and their capabilities of stripping somebody quick for their titles. Now, we go kind of touch on the Canelo thing just ever so slightly, but really what we're here for is the Ruiz Joshua rematch. Okay, now I'm gonna take you to Twitter. And we're going to look at a post dealing with Dan Rayfield. Okay, Dan Rayfield put up a post that says, "Behold, the real Frampton is outside the ESPN Plus main event due to injury, more to come." Then right below that, you see the IBF on Monday morning ordered the Derevchenko Triple G vacant middleweight title fight per sources. Then somebody asked why. He responded, he said, why? Because they actually follow their rules. Now, I'm not getting into the whole, debate back and forth he went in with somebody on the channel, but I thought what he said right there was key. He says, why? Because they actually follow their rules. Okay, now that's why I said I'm gonna touch on the whole Canelo Triple G Derevchenko thing just slightly. All right, now I'm gonna take you to a boxing scene article, and I did a video dealing with this article about Bob Arum and Pulev files petition with IBF to order mandatory with Andy Ruiz. Okay, now listen to what Bob Arum says. It says, "We've been waiting patiently. The time is now," said Bob Arum, founder and CEO of Top Rank, which co-promoter Pulev, along with Epic Sports and Andy Ruiz, has an obligation to fight the #1 mandatory IBF contender, Cobrat Pulev. Eddie is running this heavyweight title like it's his own private enterprise, said Evalio Gozvez or something like that of Epic Sports. The bottom line is Pulev originally fought an IBF eliminator over 3 years ago and was next in line with the IBF mandatory status. The IBF is an organization that has set a precedent for following their written rules, and now here's the kicker, according to Rule 5A1, Ruiz's rematch clause against Joshua does not affect his obligation to defend his title against the IBF leading available contender. Mandatory obligations supersede a promoter's promotional rights. The IBF should not set aside their rules over the contractual details of a past fight. So in other words, just because Eddie Hearn got a contract saying they got a rematch clause or whatever, that does not negate the fact that Pulev has the right to order them or ask them to make that fight happen despite of that. Now, like I said, I'm gonna double back where it says the following. It says the IBF is an organization that has set a precedent for following their written rules, and according to Rule 5A1. Now we're about to go take a look at Rule 5A1 to see what exactly Rule 5A1 says. Now I'm at the IBF USBA rules PDF site. I actually put the link in the description if I remember, and you can look at it yourself. But it says heavyweight division. This is 5A, heavyweight division. That's 5A. 1 is the mandatory defense obligation. Okay, so that's how you find it. You just go to 5A, and then you find the 1. You'll see heavyweight division. The 1 will be where it says mandatory, and it says because of the circumstances inherent in a peculiar to the promotion of a major heavyweight championship contest, the heavyweight champion shall defend his championship within 1 year after acquisition by him in a sanctioned contest scheduled for 12 rounds against the leading available contender designated by the championship chairman. After compliance with his mandatory defense obligation throughout the remaining term of a heavyweight championship reign, he shall be obligated to mandatory mandatorily defend his championship within intervals of no more than 9 months against the leading available contender in the heavyweight division as designated by the championship chairman. Optional defenses. In the interim periods, the heavyweight champion may enter into any contest with any heavyweight contender rated in the top 15 boxers in his weight class as set forth in the rating of the IBF USBA, and subject to the approval of the championship's chairman and the president. All optional defenses and any and all other bouts by a champion shall be concluded at least 60 days prior to the date the champion's mandatory is due, and shall be subject to the approval of the championship's chairman and the president. Should the champion lose his title, now this is big. Should the champion lose his title in an optional defense against an opponent other than the leading available contender, that would be Pulev, the new champion shall be required to make his mandatory title defense against the leading available contender as designated by the championship's chairman within a period of 9 months after the acquisition. Now that's huge. That's huge. Because the longer this mess takes with Eddie Hearn and Andy Ruiz fighting over where they're going to have the fight at, that means the clock is still running on the IBF. Now the question is, when does this countdown for this mandatory #1 contender defense kick in? When did it start? Because it says you got to take over, like when you win, you got to take over the position to defend that title against that mandatory. But if Pulev has been waiting, if he's been in that #1 spot for 3 years, since 2016, which he has, since he beat Hiri Fury, then if that's the case, that mandatory could have been kicked in. What was the holdup? I know injuries played his part. He was supposed to fight Joshua, I think in like 2017, I believe, and he was injured. Then I know you have the suspension. So, I mean, it's things that came into play. But why now? When does the count start? Does the count start in June when Ruiz got the title? If that's the case, then he has less than a calendar year, because 9 months, that's less than a calendar year to get that defense in. So let's see. So we talking about maybe in March, April at the latest, for him to get that fight in, if they really press him for this mandatory. So the longer this fight get pushed off between Ruiz and AJ's team trying to figure out where it's going to be, the worse off Ruiz is far as having to try to defend the IBF title against his mandatory. That's huge. That is huge. Now, you're like, well, hold up, and I'm going to wrap this up real. I just want to cover one more thing, because I did say something about the contract, right? Eddie Hearn got a contract. Like, hey man, hold on, I got that return clause. Well, let's see what the IBF say about that. Now this is Rule 3, right? Rule 3. We're about to read 3A, but it says Rule 3, clauses in championship contracts. The purpose of this rule is to ensure that no contract provision interferes with the mandatory defense of a title. Rule 3B. Return bouts. No contract for a championship contest shall contain any clause or any provision whatsoever guaranteeing or any way assuring or promising either contestant a return championship contest where such clause or provision interferes with the mandatory defense of a title. That's what Bob Arum and the other guy was saying. There is no safety net for the IBF anyway. I can't speak for the WBA and the WBC. Maybe I'll look that up and do another video about it. But with the IBF, that contract is worth toilet paper. Andy Ruiz could wipe his tail with it as far as the IBF is concerned and throw it right back at Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn. It means nothing to the IBF anyway. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got. I'm telling you, it ain't looking good. Because that's what I'm saying. Eddie Hearn really need to hurry up and close this fight out. Because one or two things could wind up happening. Ruiz could wind up getting stripped because of this if he fights AJ, or the winner of the AJ Ruiz fight could wind up getting stripped because you're not going to have enough time to get this mandatory in. So either way, it's beneficial for Eddie Hearn to figure out a way to get this thing done quickly as possible. You do not want this fight wind up going into the next calendar year. You do not want that happening. That's almost guaranteeing somebody gonna get stripped. At least the way I see it according to these rules, unless the IBF just bend over backwards for either Ruiz or AJ just to keep them from getting stripped. And see, here's the thing though. Bob Arum and Pulev are giving you an alternative. Just step aside, let Pulev fight Ruiz, and you just fight the winner. It's the same thing, and to be honest with you, I think that's what should happen anyway, because AJ really should take a tune-up fight. He really should, for psychological reasons at the least. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got. This Head Busting Boxing Fight Doctor. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. We just went to school on this video. I mean, like, ain't too many people going into the rules with you. So hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. But anyway, hit me up in the comment section. Let me know, is it anything I could have covered as far as the IBF goes, because I didn't go on the WBC and WBA, that could have clarified this a little bit more. But anyway, this is Head Busting Boxing Fight Doctor. I am out.